very, very interesting because there is an organisation in England called the LiveX, London International Vintners Exchange, and they've always been calling for more and more transparency. And it seems that the Bordeaux Negociant, it's not what they want, really.
It's not their DNA.
And Parker, he scores the wines, and there is some talk of, they want independent verification of tasting samples. I'd really be interested to hear what you think about all of that.
I think that transparency is awesome. I mean, I think one of the things that works for this show is that, listen, I'm probably the least positioned for people to trust because I have a retail store, and that's not the American culture to listen to your retailer. It's the old days, 50s and 40s, and trust your local retailer. The butcher will give you the best piece of meat. Yeah. But what I think has really worked is that I taste for the first time in front of them, and I don't edit. And I'm not really capable of hiding my emotions, as they know. So I think, I think that if anything that makes things more transparent, if Parker reviewed every one of his Bordeaux sample 2009s on video, on live stream, that'd be powerful.
Be incredible.
You'd have a much better sense of how he does it, where he does it.
Yeah.
I respect that. Listen, 2008 is very fascinating.
Absolutely.
Parker is probably higher on 08 Bordeaux than anybody in the world.
Yeah, and it was a massive, massive shock.
We all heard it was. I'm very down on the vintage.
Yeah, everybody was. Everybody said it's a moderate vintage, it's a great vintage, it's not a speculator's vintage. Certainly, but it's a decent.
And then the big gorilla comes in and says,
"Of course,
not to call you gorilla, Mr. Parker, because I know you watch every night. The biggest voice and the most powerful voice, especially in Bordeaux. There's really no second voice.
Yeah.
Decanter to a degree.
Yeah.
But he's a real juggernaut when it comes to Bordeaux.
And look at what happened to the price. Lafite overnight doubled in price. It took everybody by surprise. It certainly took us by surprise, and it's not that easy to buy on Primeur wines of decent quantities anyway.
How many competitors do you have in the UK market?
It's a competitive industry, but we want to be up there and doing something slightly different because let's face it, what we're doing isn't hugely different from other people. We are recommending wines for people to lay down. There's lots of companies much older than ours who've done that for quite a while, but hopefully we're doing a few things differently.
Like what?
Like talking to you for a start, by using the internet and using a bit of personality to create a sense of community. And I know that's something that you've cracked to a huge degree.
It's what I love.
Yeah.
But it's about loving the peeps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But when you're dealing with an industry like we're within, it's an investment industry,
and it's big money.
It is. It's huge.
It's not, people aren't dropping $8.
No, exactly.
Do you have a minimum?
Generally, cases will start at around £3,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
To get a case that will meet the criteria.
Will you take a client who wants to buy one case of a £3,000 Lafite?
Of course.
Well,
yeah,
so then it's there's a line, but it's not this $50,000 minimum investment to get in.
Like you'll get with funds and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. No, we've got quite a few clients who've done that.
Well, that's good.
And,
I think that's important.
Yeah. So it is accessible.
Does everybody have to buy the case?
Yeah, generally, if you're going.
That's the right way to go about it, anyway, as a collector.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't really invest in something if it's a broken case. You've got to buy a case minimum. We're seeing actually more and more 6-bottle cases being produced within Bordeaux.
Well, the global. Let's talk about what happened to your business when the financial global economic collapse or dent or whatever you want to call what happened last September. How much have you guys felt it?
Well, the LiveX index, which is the popular index for the 100 leading fine wines that are investable, shall we say, it dropped by 15-18%. Which fine wine.
Not that bad.
It's not that bad, but fine wine is generally never considered to be a market that has suffered when other markets have.
That's right.
So it was a bit of a shock, but it's recovered very well, and it's doing. Some of the Lafite prices are higher than they were even last summer. It's incredible.
What do you think is, if at all, is the opportunity in the U.S.? Or is this a market you guys are thinking about trying to get involved, or are the laws so archaic and difficult that it's almost not worth your time at this point?
As you know, the laws are pretty prohibitive. I use that word obviously advisedly because that's what it all.
They're disgusting.
Stems from, and it's tricky because it's a very, very different market to Europe because you have the US split labels issue. It means that the markets are very, very separate. You've got things like Vinfolio now.
Right, creating the marketplace.
Yeah, I can mention that, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking mention Zacky's and Sherry Lehman's and Sam's, and you can mention every store and retailer in the world. I keep forgetting I'm not in
England and it's not the BBC.
Yeah, this is not the BBC, and more importantly, whereas so many people worry about that stuff, I want, you know,
Yeah.
ironically, I want everybody to win.
Yeah.
I'm not super worried. One, I know I'm better, and two, there's room for everybody.
Absolutely. You know, I talk about our competitors. I say to clients and prospective clients of ours, go check out Berry Brothers and Rudd. You know,
Yeah.
yes, they are the oldest wine merchant in the world, and they're great, and we're great friends of them. But you know, have a look at us as well. Look at other competitors, see if you're happy. Because I think that, you know, these days you've got to be able to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're living in a transparent world. You know, nobody's confused what's out there.
Sure.
Consumers are smarter than ever.
Yeah, the
More
days when
into-
you could stitch someone up, as we say, you know.
and there's no
it's a lot
value,
more.
because even if you could stitch someone up, which I like, I'll start using that. You're going to get exposed.
Yeah.
And every
pretty
consumer has a bigger voice than they have ever had before with their Twitter and Facebook accounts. I mean, you know, I've retweeted to 1 million people something somebody who has 45 followers have said.
Yeah.
So, you know, things like that.
Absolutely. Access is what it's all about.
You know, I think Vinfolio, you know, great guys. I love Stephen Bach.
Yeah.
Bachman. I mean, they're just good people, and I hope they win. I hope, because I hope that marketplace concept works.
And there's issues, of course, like
There's a lot.
provenance, and you
There's
know,
a
it's-
lot of issues, but Wine Commune has done it for a long time
Yeah.
at some level. Wine Bid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been players in the U.S. who've done it on a bottle-to-bottle level.
Yeah.
I don't think exactly the same way. I think the case level is the real investment play.
Sure, and in the UK, there's no consumer end version.
Do you have
of that.
U.S. customers buying from you guys?
We don't have so much. No,
But do people? I mean, there are some, right?
people do it? I mean, people.
Do you store the wine for customers?
We do. We store it in a separate location.
So in theory,
it could do, yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why not. You know, they could.
Except $1 a week.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But, you
That's
know,
the big reason.
but it'll change, and you know, it always changes, and it'll change back again. And you know, it's just diversity. It's just have something different. That's what people say. More and more, the press in the UK are starting to really sort of take notice.
Now, are you an entrepreneur, or is wine a passion of yours? Is it a little bit of both? Where does that all break down?
I'd say first and foremost, Gary, I'd have to be honest, I am an entrepreneur, yeah. I mean, I used to work in the film business, which was great. It was great fun, and I got to travel and all of those things. You know, it wasn't very glamorous for me personally. You know, I wasn't doing anything hugely exciting.
You weren't
other than,
acting in it.
No, I wasn't. But I was doing a lot of observing, and I got to meet a lot of different people, and it was very, very exciting. Almost from a kind of by default, just being around that kind of thing.
Sure.
And I met a girl on a film set, and we thought I don't want to work in an industry where she's over this side of the world and I'm over that side of the world. So she got a different job and I got a different job, and we settled in London, and you know, the rest is history.
Awesome.
Hello, Justine and Evie, of course.
Of course.
I had a daughter not too long ago.
Congratulations, yes,
yeah.
little Misha. How old is your daughter?
She's 17 months.
Congratulations.
Thank
It's
you.
getting into that cool zone, right?
Yeah, she's just getting really fun. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's very
can't
good.
wait for Misha to be sitting here and entertaining the maniac.
What is she now? 4?
She's
5
3
months?
months.
3 months.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, she's on her way to 4.
Yeah, cool.
16 weeks, so it's
Yeah,
amazing.
congratulations. So yeah, I got a job in an industry where I was able to get on, and it's not a hugely complicated industry. It's about building a network of contacts and making sure that you can buy wine at a price that makes it viable for investment. And I was able to do that to some small degree, and you know, set up the business. And so,
What made you make that jump? I mean, did you have some intrigue in wine?
it was the industry that I fell into, and I found it very interesting. The collecting aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to sit
Are
here
you a
and say
collector at heart?
I think I am a collector at heart. I was a big fan of Star Wars figures, you know, back in the day.
Nice.
You know, all the
Did you
books
keep them
and all.
in package?
I didn't know.
You opened them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huge
You know,
mistake.
and then my mother gave them all away, but that's another story. And
Devastating.
and so yeah, I suppose a collector at heart.
Because
But
that's what brought me into wine too.
really,
Yeah, I was very much into, Star Wars figures, baseball cards,
Yeah, of
comic
course,
books,
yeah.
all that stuff. And then when I realized people collected wine, but I think maybe more unlike you, then I dove into it at 16 and just read and devoured, and then really when I could start tasting on a serious level at 21, I spent those 7 years just tasting and tasting and tasting.